Hi, welcome to my documentation of the Linux journey. So I'm a Windows user, Mac user, iPad user, user of all electronics. So all these guys keep talking about Linux, and I'm like, gotta try it. So what did I try? I tried Zorin OS 17.3. Zorin is a compilation. I wound up getting the Pro version, the Zorin Pro, which has pre-installed apps, which I absolutely loved out the box. So you might be using this video or watching this video to try to find out what is the best laptop, maybe buying used, that will give you the best Linux experience possible. So I'm going to tell you what I found specifically. So I'm always in the search of the best. It started out with Monero crypto mining. I found that the 7730U processor, the Ryzen 7, has been really fantastic. So here I have two Dell laptops. One is a premium made all aluminum chassis 2-in-1 laptop touchscreen, and the second one is a 15.6-inch plastic cover laptop. Both share the same processor. On this one, the RAM is soldered. On this one, on a cheaper looking one and cheaper feeling one, it is not soldered. So you could actually upgrade the RAM on this one and even have a better experience. So what I found is that installing Zorin is that it is an Ubuntu version distribution. So it's based on Ubuntu, which is probably one of the most popular ones. So, and I've tried the Zorin on a couple different types of HP laptops. I have another HP 2-in-1 laptop where I installed the Zorin 17.3. Everything worked, but the speakers didn't work. That kind of sucked. Trying it also on Intel-based systems, maybe it's because it was HP. What's nice about HPs is that they do have some premium features. For example, I just did a review yesterday of an HP OLED screen touch laptop with an Intel chip. What I found is that I was getting drop frames. Maybe it's the high resolution screen, maybe you need some sort of drivers. Not really sure about that. I wound up installing Windows 11 Pro on it and getting all the updated drivers, and that's when it stopped dropping frames. Otherwise, I was just getting drops in frames using the most updated Ubuntu 25.04 version. The Zorin OS 17.3 uses the 22.04 kernel. That is a long-term support kernel. So it's meant to be installed once and you're not upgrading it every year. The 25.04, you're supposed to be getting the newest features. That's the only way I was actually even able to get the sound to work on that laptop. So don't go with HPs. That's what I found. Also, don't go with Intel processors. I know there's a lot of processors out there, but if you want that seamless experience, I would go with Ryzen based, those two model numbers, specifically these. Pause the video right now. 7635 and the 3535. So this is my daily driver Zorin OS laptop. It features two USB-C ports that both do power delivery and also do data. So they're like 10 gigabit ports. HDMI kind of sucks on all of them. 1080p 60. What is nice about this laptop is that it has these upward firing speakers, which sound really good, and the touch screen. I wound up getting the version, the BIOS version. The Zorin version where you press the buttons on the side. That's kind of like the Ubuntu style. And what I found is just so heavenly. For me, I read a lot of PDFs. This is one of those things that people don't talk about, like for readers that are leaders, is that you can have a PDF that's like 50 pages long, 100 pages long, 2,000 pages long. and if you close it down, you come back to it, you lose your spot. Apparently, maybe Microsoft Edge might have that, but I don't want to give the edge to Microsoft at all. So I do have an HP laptop that I was trying to get Linux to work on, the OLED. I wanted to do the touchscreen, I wanted to do the drawing on it. However, it's probably for the best. I'm going to use Windows 11 on it because the only way I got it to stop dropping frames, even in Windows 11, was by installing the latest drivers using drivereasy.com. I wound up installing the software, paid $30 for it, my own money, not sponsored, and I had to download all the latest drivers. So this is really cool. When you have a touchscreen laptop, it's really nice because you could scroll the page upward. Also, it's nice on this is that it has a backlit screen. Also, it's nice to have this full-size SD card slot. So technically, you'll never run out of space even if you get the 512 gig option. You can't upgrade the RAM on it, but you can upgrade the SSD. I showed you how in my review of it by popping open this case. This is very nice premium laptop. I love it. Also, this is a pretty great laptop too. So the Dell 3535 also has the Ryzen 7 7730U. In benchmark scores, it beats it whoops the booties of all the Intel processors that I've seen thus far at a really low wattage. So the buttons work, the volume works, the speakers work, all in Zorin OS 17.3. So you want to install a good operating system, you get the Dell laptop, one of these, maybe the 2-in-1 is probably going to be like between $300 and $400. And this one I've seen as low, I wound up buying a bunch at $280 to $300. But now I've seen them at $350 to $400. I've seen them new maybe at $550. Very inexpensive. So you do get a full-size SD card slot too, so you could save your data on there. HDMI port, and this guy doesn't charge it. So you could get an adapter. It says for Dell, it's like $10 on Amazon, that converts a USB-C to this, or you could just use the original Dell power brick. I just like the idea of having adapters because, yeah, I might lose the power brick where I want more power bricks, but I don't want to buy the same one. I want to have a universal like 65 watt that I could use anywhere. So this is also a 15.6 inch screen. And what's nice about it is that for the number crunchers, it has the full numpad, which is kind of cool. So you're doing hacking or whatever, typing stuff up, no backlit keys. Speakers are less. Also, what's nice about it is that it's lighter. Also, touchscreen. So the touchscreen experience is really nice. I don't know. I keep with my Mac Pro 16. I keep touching the screen because that's what I'm used to. So people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna switch to Linux and only not use it." This other laptop, I just got this. This is a 16-inch OLED. So this has the Intel 155U, Ultra 155U. So this is the one I'm talking about. Newest Windows 11, only after installing the drivers do the videos stop dropping frames. What do I mean by it stopping dropping frames? Well, this video should be in 4K on YouTube. And if you right click on the video and you select stats for nerds, you're gonna see how many frames dropped. So if the video thing is struggling with that, it says drop frames. It could say like 100 drop frames. If it says like 20 or something, like while the video was buffering, maybe it dropped some frames. Not a big deal. With these guys, maybe it's because these are 1080p screens and that's an OLED 120 hertz refresh rate screen, and you need all the latest Intel drivers before it could work. So I would stay away from the Intel driver based ones. Maybe if you're running some sort of server and using some basic Intel functionality, or if you're using like an Intel processor from way generations earlier. I don't know everything. I haven't tested everything out. I just had a bunch of I had several laptops because I'm a computer enthusiast of the 7730Us found with the Dells. Dell has a partnership with Canonical, which are the makers of Ubuntu. So they wind up making all their hardware compatible with Ubuntu. So not the same if you have an HP 2-in-1. So both 2-in-1s speakers didn't work using Zorin. However, the speaker did work on the latest Ubuntu 2504. However, the screenshot button, which I've been using a lot, which works on the Dell, wasn't working. So you could probably figure out some sort of workaround, the key combination, stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna use Windows on that. I'm gonna use what Windows is good for. I installed a local account. I made the drive unencrypted because I'm just gonna be using it at home to watch videos, to do some drawing, stuff like that. You know, like watch YouTube in 4K. Mwah! That's kind of nice. So what is my conclusion? Some people have gotten really strict into, hey, I'm only going to use Linux. Yes, that's probably an ideal state. However, there's benefits and opportunities in all operating systems. Like my Mac Pro is hanging out next to me with a fingerprint reader. It just instant on because it has that Apple chip in there. So there's no like booting times, there's nothing. So if I'm falling asleep watching and listening to a podcast, put on the podcast, listen to it, turn off the screen, and you have the most enjoyable experience because you have that great audio. Linux is fantastic because it has all these apps you can install. They're free of charge. They just work nice. There's no extra spyware being installed. There's no drivers. So in Windows, you have to get these things called drivers in order for your system to operate in optimal performance and not drop frames and But with Linux, it just becomes part of that kernel. The kernel is like the operating system. It's like a big ball of like all the different software repositories, drivers, and all that stuff, all combined into one. So with Linux, it either works out the box or it just doesn't. With Windows, because there's a lot more users, it is able to, they're able to release the different drivers, and because of that user base, make money from it. That's one of those things that keeps a lot of Linux apps back, is that because they're not making money off it. However, there's a 4K tube app you can install, which is really great. $15, works great. Works better than I ever seen. Look it up yourself what it's for. I say that's fantastic. Like, wow, what an experience. So Linux people, there's like 100 million of us apparently that use Linux, and people that program things use Linux, and people that are into privacy use Linux and stuff like that. However, I'm just gonna use everything. I'm gonna use the iPads, I'm gonna use the iOS, I'm gonna use the Android, I'm gonna use the Graphene, I'm gonna use the whatever is there for the job. Right now I'm taking this video on an iPhone 11 Pro. Why? Because it's the last 4G phone that is actually good camera quality and made by Apple and still supported. Delicious, chef's kiss. And it doesn't have that 5G stuff. Put a tinfoil hat on, maybe it's that 5G that's really, you can say, untested. So, back to the original point. You're looking for an easy, out-of-the-box Linux experience. And nobody has showed me a video that just keeps showing me like pretty UI, pretty little pictures. I just want to go on eBay, get a laptop, 7635, Dell Inspiron 7635 2-in-1, 7730U processor, Ryzen 7, 8 cores, 16 threads. Or this guy. These guys work out the box. Zorin OS. You pay the $50, you paid $300 for a laptop, let's say $450. You're into Linux. If you get the 3535, you could also upgrade the DDR4 memory. And before they stop manufacturing it, you could upgrade it from the 16 gigs to straight 32 gigs. That's the advantage of even going for the cheaper model. So you have that touch screen. You could put like an 8 terabyte drive in there. Yes, it's running a Gen 3x4, so you're getting maximum throughput of 3,500 megabytes a second. However, how much stuff are you actually doing on that laptop? Like if I'm watching a YouTube video and I just wanted to work out the box and work plainly, no dropping of frames, everything just working smooth out the box, I just go with the Dell. sounds good, feels good, is fantastic on the thing. So I don't want to make this any longer than it should be. So that's what I learned, at least my personal experience. Put your comments down below. I haven't started testing on Lenovo's. I do have some Lenovo laptops, one gaming one and one not gaming one. One with a Ryzen 7 4500U or 4800, basically 8-core 16 thread, and I have a 6-core 12 thread with a 1660 GTX 1660 video card. So I heard with the graphics card one, it's harder to make it work. The first one has a touch screen and the second one doesn't. So Lenovo might also be part of the list because a lot of people are talking about Lenovo and ThinkPads. I just don't know. I haven't tested it. So far, I had a really good experience with the Dells. And Dell has sold so many of them, so buying them used is very easy. So here's the tips to buying them used. After you install it, you do right-click Stats for Nerds and watch this 4K video back. If there's dropped frames in the video, chances are that could be a situation. Let me tell you a story. I bought the Dell OLED i7 1260p GTX MX 550 thing. So the Intel chip and the MX 550, it was dropping frames, like hell of a lot of frames, and I'm like, it must be the Linux fault. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna give this laptop the last chance. So I cleared out the paste. I changed around the paste. I changed around the thermal pads to K5 Pro. PTM 7950 for the paste. That's long-term solution. So the temps got lowered dramatically. Still dropping of frames. Okay, fine. Windows 11. I installed Windows 11 Pro. Yeah, I know. I gave up on it. I just wanted to see, is it really the computer or is it the thing? I installed Driver Easy, installed all the drivers, so it was still dropping frames. Even after doing the Driver Easy install of all the drivers, it was still dropping frames. So I was like, okay, this laptop has to go back. So with eBay, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, specifically if you're in the US. I don't know if you're outside the US, because that's where I am. So, USA. What I'm saying is this. You could buy the stuff used, however, you should test it out and see if it works. With Linux, they let you do a live boot with a little CD key with a USB drive. So you could boot it up live, so you could go to a store or you could go to a used secondhand, let's say a pawn shop that has a laptop. Let's say you like the laptop. You could pop it in. With Dell, it's F2 to go into the BIOS, F10 maybe to change which boot order, or F2 to go in. Long story short, you boot from the drive and then test out if that operating system works. Do the speakers work? Do the buttons work? Do the volume control buttons work? Does the internet work? Does the Wi-Fi work? Does the Bluetooth work? If it works out of the box, you're good, you're golden. So, however, the two tips I probably should give you is that based on the experience of two Intel laptops, with the other one, it was also giving me, the pretty one that I showed you, the OLED screen one. It was giving me drop frames with the latest Ubuntu. There's just no more cutting-edge Ubuntu operating system possible. That's the biggest distribution. A lot of people have it, supported by Dell and all that other stuff. Yeah, I got the speakers to work, but the screenshot button wasn't working. Dropping frames. So it took me Windows 11 and all the updates until I eventually got it to stop working. So Intel made their maybe newer chips, at least the 155Us and a 12th generation 1260p, or I think the laptop was broken. So that's why it's going back. I already got the thing, I already shipped it out. So the point is this, I think the Intel stuff is way more complicated on the laptops than it should be. So I would just go with the Ryzen. There's a lot of different Ryzen options. For me, I just wanted the ultimate OLED, like the HP with the OLED. So I'm hacky, I got that nerdy Linux vibe, right? and I have the encrypted drive with the Zorin OS. That's fantastic. And then OLED screen to watch the videos, playback, stream my movies, and like beautiful 4K, 3K screen, 2.8K. I mean, it's still really good, high refresh rate screen. I was hoping for that. However, there is the opportunity there that I'm going to use that laptop for other creative pursuits. Like which, for example, there is a competitor to Adobe called Affinity Designer. So Affinity Designer, and there's a couple different Affinity apps that replace Photoshop, that replace the Illustrator, that replace the other one for a one-time fee. So you just pay one time $100 for a license, and it's made for Windows only. However, has been some Linux people that got it to work on Linux. So if I learn it on there with an OLED screen, I have the opportunity to learn it out of the box. I don't have to worry about that. Watch my movies, my playback with beautiful colors, that OLED screen being an gamut. And even though the drive is unencrypted now, the benefit that Windows has as opposed to Linux is that Linux keeps all the the locking password right on the drive. When Windows connects to your TPM chip and it puts that key there. So with Linux, it's kind of better because if your machine breaks, you just take the thing, put the drive, it asks you for an encryption key. That's what happens when you install the operating system. There is an option to delete the drive and enable encryption. It's called LUX or LVM, something like that. There is an option for that. I prefer the encrypted thing because I want to take that laptop and not worry about it. I have all my emails, I have my logins to my banking and all that good stuff in there, and I don't want anybody to be able to access that. So there's a password for encryption, so if anybody pulled out the drive, they can't put it in another computer and then read all the data on there and steal my cookies and get all my data out, right? Neither can they also, even though it's kind of like unencrypted, even though it's like loaded up, like when you showed there was a login screen, they can't get in without the login screen password. And also, if you wound up getting this version, I think I even got the login fingerprint thing to work because there's a fingerprint reader in this version, which is kind of nice. It doesn't have the number pad on it. However, I barely ever use the number pad except when doing like intense work, and most of the time it's okay to put the numbers in the top. I just like that centering and having those two upward firing speakers because they add to the effect, because I think there's 4 speakers there in total that way. So to me, that sound is really good because when I'm reading a book, that's what I have it for, is that I could synchronize the books on my personal cloud, the Nextcloud, onto there. So this way I can open up, read the book, close it down, and come back to it when I need to, because you can't possibly read everything. Put on some music, some classical music from YouTube. Mwah, chef's kiss. It's just like a really nice experience. That Linux experience has been really nice. I don't know about sitting on a desktop computer. Am I going to replace my desktop computer where I have my Premiere on? No, I don't think so, because it's already a gaming computer. Everything is pre-installed. Why would I want to destroy that? So that's why people are like, oh, dual boot and stuff like that. I just figure add to my life. So let's say I want to watch a movie. I pull out the OLED laptop, boom, doodle, draw, close it down. Okay, so I want to read some emails, read some PDFs. I just pop open the Zorin OS laptop. Bang. So that's what I'm saying. So my experience has been really great thus far. However, you have to pick the right hardware. So some of the most bleeding edge, the Intel chips, stay away from them, probably. Because if the AMD stuff works better out the box, at least for me, maybe there's chips that don't work. Maybe the newer models don't work. I got no clue. I just have these laptops. They're not crazy expensive, $300-400. I mean, I was just thinking about this. Why I thought this was good value laptops is that you could spend easily $200-300 on a mini PC. You got to connect the keyboard, you got to connect the mouse, you got to connect this, you got to connect that, and soon all your tables are filled up with like stuff. Or you could just install on the laptop, like go in bed, lie down, read a book while listening to classical music. Mwah! I personally use USB-C for delivering of the data and power on my laptop, because that's the better way, and I have my Wi-Fi and Bluetooth turned off, because I'm one of those guys that read this book called EMF'd by Dr. Mercola, and I realized that there could be, I'm not saying there is, however, there could be demonstrable physical effects from having way too much electrical stuff, like on your head, in your head, on your body, everywhere, in the long term. Possibly not in the short term, because it doesn't even heat up your body. So, going back, I gave you the Dell numbers. I told you my experience with it. And I hope you appreciate this video, because I wish somebody else would tell me. It's like, okay, you just want to use freaking the thing. Like, if somebody shows me again another Lenovo, I'm going to be like, okay, does it work out the box? Did you test it with Zorin? How does it work? Like, does it work well? Do all the things work on it? Like, did you guys ask them that? Probably does. Probably does. That's why people have been loving Lenovo's for a long time. ThinkPads, specifically. If you watch videos about ThinkPads, they're like, ThinkPad this, ThinkPad that. I'm kind of like, hey, I have these Dells already. Might as well put them to use. And now I just have an addition to my life. I just add to the stuff. Because the way that I see it is like this. My Windows 10 ain't broke. It don't need no fixing. No updates, whatever. Like, I'm gonna freaking somehow survive on the internet. I'm just watching YouTube videos here. Like, somehow magically somebody's gonna come and get me. I'm not gonna get no updates. And that's how Microsoft gets you. It's like, back up your memories to the cloud. Like, back up your memories to our cloud, and then you start paying them money, and now they have access to all your pictures, and AI is reading all your contact lists, all your emails, and all that stuff. And soon enough, they have enough of a profile on you. And it's like, you're like, wow, do you have any peaceful time for yourself? Meanwhile, you have Zorin. You could also uncheck the box, like, hey, I don't even want to be listed as a Linux user. So they tell us that we're 2% or 4% of the worldwide install base. However, if I see it correctly, is that if the Linux people aren't reporting the statistics, maybe there's a lot more of us than people think. So you programmers out there, you talented, I love you guys. Just make some programs, make some money, because this guy did it. The 4K tube guy, he figured out a system, and then you pay the $15, you can install it on 5 Linux PCs. Wow. You can pay with PayPal. Wow. I don't know about crypto. I mean, especially with the crypto, with this and with that, it's kind of nice. It becomes your computer. So here's what happens when you install Windows 11 if you don't use the script. So there's also a script called Shenanigans. Maybe this video is getting long. However, you're still here. Go home, children. There's a script called Shenanigans. So you can do an auto attend script. There's a website where you could select to create a local user with what password. You could make it not install any or all the apps. You can make Edge uninstallable. You can make it not ask for wireless internet or wired internet to complete the installation. It's just a beautiful script. So when I did the Windows 11 install on my HP, that's the way that I did it. I have a local account. It's not even connected to Microsoft. So when I do decide to encrypt it, I'm going to put my own encryption key onto a USB drive, and I'm going to save that for my own protection for future reference, just in case I need to get back into the drive. And because of that, TPM, okay, how TPM works, there's a little chip on the motherboard. It connects to the thing. So if the chip and the drive, they're not together in one place, it doesn't let you boot into the thing, and it doesn't let you read the data. If the chip is present, as long as the chip is present and the drive is present at the same time, it lets you access the data, because otherwise it's encrypted. And then you also need, of course, the username and password to get into the Windows. How Windows 11 does it automatically is that without telling you, it encrypts your drive, uploads it to your Microsoft account on Microsoft.com, and then I'm just wondering, can some magical Code Monkey could just get in there and get the key from Microsoft or somebody else, just like, hey, I'm a 3-letter guy and I need a key to this Microsoft account. Okay, 2 seconds later, bonk, he gets into your drive, unencrypts it, sees the thing, and your Fourth, Fifth Amendment is gone. Would you want that? But if you use the local account and you did the encrypting on your own, what's nice about Windows 11 is that you could encrypt the drive and unencrypt it. Encrypt it and unencrypt. So you could encrypt the drive with your own key, and then if you choose to kind of like clone it, let's say you started with a 512 gig and you want to upgrade to a 4 terabyte, you could unencrypt the drive, then clone it, and once you clone it, put the 4 terabyte drive in, and then encrypt it again. And now you have a 4 terabyte, you haven't lost the data, you kept all your apps, you kept your settings and stuff like that. Mwah. With Linux, you can't do that. Once you go encrypted, you can't go back. Which is fine too. I do like the idea of just popping out your drive, putting it anywhere you want, put it in an envelope, put it in your shoe, and you have all your data backed up, which is kind of nice too. So there's gives and takes. With Windows, what's cool is that you could use BitLocker to encrypt various different drives, and because most computers are Windows, you could read that pretty much on any computer that's past Windows 7 or 10. Let's say Windows 10. Windows 10 and 11, mwah, easier to read the drives, easier to type in the password, and you're in. So that's one of those things to consider. So I would just say like, hey, why not have 2 laptops? Why not have 3 laptops? A MacBook for watching and music playback because it has the best sound, but it doesn't have any space. Unless you're gonna spend like $12,000 for like 8 gigs, 8 terabytes, that don't work. Or you could just buy a $300 laptop, spend another $600 on an 8 terabyte drive, and for like $900, you got an 8 terabyte drive laptop. You could put your entire life on it if you wanted to. And encrypt it, and it's yours, and it's not sending statistics out to anywhere, and there's no AI stuff like reading your documents and like uploading to the web and stuff like that. That's what you guys got to be careful about, because this AI stuff is part of like a smart grid. Look, Linux guys, you know why you're here, or people looking into Linux. It's like. Are you guys tired of being on this, pay for this, pay for that, pay for that? Zorin OS you install, you get an Office suite, Zorin OS Pro. You get an Office suite, you get a Photoshop replacement, you get a video editor replacement, you get like a whole bunch of other program replacements. Pretty much, you could do anything you want with that. Emails, web. What do most people use this stuff? Emails and web. There's a program called Betterbird. Boom, Betterbird. Log into all your Gmails and Outlooks and all that stuff all in one place. Joplin, open source, cross-platform, works on Android, works on Windows, works on Mac, where it works on iOS, works on Linux. You get the free and open source version, and you stop giving all your stuff to the cloud, giving your stuff away. I don't know about you. However, I made my choice clear, is by using Linux, figuring out how to incorporate it into my life. And it's already been incorporated. If you have a NAS, you're using Linux. If you're dealing with all these servers on the internet, the ones that are serving up this webpage, they're using Linux. They're not using Windows, because then you would see what happened in the airports a couple years ago. Oh, nobody could fly now because Windows needed an update. Blue screen. Good job. Yeah, we needed that update so bad. With Linux, they'd be like, hey, I never want to update. My stuff works. It has the drivers, it has the kernel, it got the thing, and that's it. Do you want to have less choices, or do you want to have more choices? So you do have at least 2 choices right now with the Dell. Probably any Dell would work. As long as it's a Ryzen, I would just stay away from the Intel-based ones. Just based on my experience, it's probably really good. Put your comments down below because I want to hear them. If there's a great Intel machine, tell me about it. However, for me, Intel machines have always been loud, not hotter, used more energy. However, because they have some sort of partnership with all these different companies, they keep putting them in there. Like for me, one of the Linux laptops that I've been salivating, not a Linux, just a laptop I've been salivating over, is the LG Gram OLED 2-in-1. It has the same processor, I think the 155U or the 155H. However, my experience with the HP is that probably is going to work really crappy and it's going to drop frames, and I wouldn't be able to use it, and I would have to install Windows 11 again, and I don't want that, and I already have an OLED laptop. However, what was cool about it is that it has 2 drive slots, so you could put 2 NVMe drives. Imagine putting 2 8-terabyte NVMe drives. Now you have a 16-terabyte laptop. What? That's kind of cool. Where we are technologically wise, it's like you could just travel the world. You have a laptop, everything is encrypted. Mwah! However, I don't even know how the encryption would work across 2 drives. You tell me. You guys might know better. So anyways, I've been talking for 36 minutes about Linux. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, thumb up, subscribe. Buy the laptops on eBay. I do include Amazon affiliate links. It's just maybe that I could earn a kickback maybe sometimes if you were going to buy anything anyway. That's fine too. I'm just here for sharing with others my passion about technology and help people get over the milestones, because that's one of the milestones, is to just get in the game and just install the operating system and realize, oh, this was easier. This is just as easy as installing Windows 10 or Windows 11 or just a little install drive. Maybe try out the newest Ubuntu. However, I like the Zorin, because Zorin by default installs Brave, which you can install on any of the operating system. Brave takes any ads that you might be seeing right now. Magic. Rabbit in a hat. Rabbit is gone now. It's just out the box. So nice. And then I see the future generation. I see the future generation seeing the things like, wow, this is how computing could be. We don't have to give up all our data. We don't have to be AI spied upon. We can control when we update, what we update, and in what way we update, and what apps and programs we use, instead of mindlessly giving up control of our entire computer and entire lives, because our entire lives are on those computers. This computer you're watching on could be on it. It could be. Chances are you're probably doing something that involves the internet, including learning new things, which you are, and I salute you for that. I salute all the champions out there taking the charge and getting into using Linux. Have a blessed day, guys. Bye-bye.